Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox backing in for another episode, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to have back with me Dawn Weyer. Dawn, first of all, welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
So, this is our first episode for the new year. So, Happy New Year.
Thank you, and to you too.
So, I wanted to really start with the September October show
Okay.
and sort of get your reflections. I recognize it was the second show for all of you all, but it was your second show as a part of the Magnificent Seven. So, it just seemed to have an energy and a vibe different from the first year. What did you feel?
The energy and the vibe was there was a lot more people, way more people. I think M7 is starting to get some traction, and that's a wonderful thing. And it was just good to see a lot of people out. People that don't normally visit the cultural center were there, and it was just fun to spend time with those people.
What about the people that so I was there opening day and, for the party, and then we came a couple of other times. Of course, opening day is always great, or the opening session, whatever it might be called. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, food, drink, uh, a lot of interaction between the artists
Mhm.
and the viewers. But what were some of the really highlights for you in terms of people either asking you about your work, maybe that wide-eyed 8-year-old girl who saw something for the or boy
Mhm.
who saw something for the first time? What are some of the what are those reflections for you?
It's interesting because you've often asked us about that wide-eyed 8-year-old girl or boy, and that was part of the fun for me this time because it made me even more aware to look for that. And I actually saw kids, there was a mom, actually it was 2 moms with a group of kids that came through, the during the artist reception, and one little girl in particular was just bouncing all over the place and going through the print bins, and she was just so excited, and I actually stopped her and asked her what it was about the art and the artists that were there. And at first she was a little bit hesitant because I don't think no, she thought she'd been caught or something. And she was, but I asked her, "What is so exciting for you in this?" And I mean, she had a print from one bin over here and a print from another bin over there. And she was she said, "I just love art." And I said, "Do you do art?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I love to do it." And she proceeded to tell me all about wanting to do it. And, so then I asked her about school, and she said, "I homeschool. I'm a homeschooler." And I said, "Is your mom here?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, she's here." She says, "Do you would you be able to do this and, teach me?" And I said, "That's totally up to your mom." And so the next thing I know, she had grabbed her mom by the arm and brought her over, and we had a great conversation and, are looking at possibly doing that in the future.
One of the things that you all did this year was you actually painted at the KCC. So there were a
Mhm.
group of y'all. Were you part of that or
Yes, I was. There
about that?
there were only 2 of us that didn't get to do it for various personal reasons, and so it was fun to have most all of us there. Um, and again, we got a mix of people from not just from here, but from elsewhere. There was a couple from Dallas that came through, and the wife was particularly interested, and she wanted to know all about pastel, and so I was there to be able to oblige her and, of course, was painting in pastel, and she had a lot of questions, and that was fun to be able to answer that. At first, she thought, that it was just painted regular paintings. She didn't realize that the medium was pastel. But that's because the way I approach it is different than what some other pastel artists do. And there was another couple, a young couple, probably in their early 20s, college age, and I had a really lovely visit with them as well. So, yeah, it was fun.
One of the things that was different for me about the exhibit this year was last year I viewed each artist's work almost in a silo
Mm,
and separately.
mhm.
And this year, maybe it's because I've been visiting so much with you all or for whatever reason, but I saw both comparison and contrast.
Mm, mm,
So having everyone basically in one big room,
mhm.
I could walk to each separate exhibit and see the differences, and I could also see some similarities.
Mhm.
Is that a part of the experience as well?
Yes, it is because each individual artist has their own voice, and sometimes there's a crossover in that from artist to artist. But it's interesting that you asked that question because after the show closed, we met as a group and decided that this year we might mix it up a little bit so it's not necessarily gonna look the same this next time around. Not sure exactly how that would be, but we're talking about mixing up the artwork.
And then I don't know if you were there yourself, but there was one Saturday, I think, a group came over from the Museum of Western Art.
Yes, that was the Saturday that we were painting.
Okay.
Yeah, and it
Tell
was
me about
that
that.
wife that one of the yeah, that's what was so fun because
No,
Deanna and I were painting right next to each other, and both of us got a chance to just really enjoy visiting with
mm,
her.
because several other, people have said how much that really excited them seeing
Oh, yeah.
a group who had gone to see a fabulous exhibit, at the time at the, Museum of Western Art came over, and that group kind of discovered you all.
Yeah. And I think what's neat about that too is they discovered KACC as well, not knowing that it even existed. And some locals, same thing. We didn't know that this was here. And oh yeah, it's here and we're here to stay.
So I'd like to now move to maybe the last 2 weeks of October. So the exhibit's closed. Do you sit and take a very deep breath? Do you have so much energy and enthusiasm you just build on that and you can't stop? What was that period like for you? More up in your head than your heart?
I thought I was gonna be able to take a break, and it didn't work out that way because that whole year was a busy and wonderful year for me, and I thought, "Okay, now I can rest on my backside," and it didn't work out because I had gained enough momentum that I was able to, put my work out some more in different local spots. Uh, the Texas 323 Bakery there in
Mm,
Ingram asked me for some of my artwork, so I'm showing some artwork in there on a regular basis. And then they did Ladies' Night on the Loop and asked me to do that, and so I put together a quick in a day pop-up tent and had a ball doing that, and then got ready for doing a show at Grape Juice with Deanna Eichsman
right.
and Laura. And so I haven't really had a chance to rest. I'm just now catching my breath.
I'd like to change the focus just a little bit to the landscape. As we move from summer into fall, obviously it changes, and now we're a little more into winter, and that will continue because we're recording this in early January. But what does that change in seasons? What do you see in your eyes from that? Do you notice every change? Does it mean something different to you? What's that experience like, the artist Dawn?
For me, it's not as drastic as it is up north. I kept saying to my husband, I don't feel like it's Christmas. We don't have any snow. Instead, December here feels more like September there
Yeah.
with the leaves falling and every season, every year can look different to an artist. Color wise, it depends on what the climate's. Is it rainy? Has it been rainy? It's I- the landscape is always an inspiration that we can drink from. It's always changing. It's never perfect. And it's a good thing because we're not either. And trying to interpret that is can be any number of things, whether it's through line or color or whatever the atmosphere is, the weather, how we're going to look at that and put it to canvas.
We've explored that a little bit for a few minutes with you because I love that word interpret. In recognizing once again, for those who don't know, Dawn was from what we would say up north and has
Mhm.
lived in Texas for a few years. So she has truly experienced a change of seasons and a dead of winter. We don't have a dead of winter here. We have certainly winter and we can have cold weather, but we still have colors.
Mhm.
Now, the colors are different. And how does that your interpretation, does it mean a darker painting? Could it be a different emotion you express?
It could be both of those things, actually. Some artists, it's interesting that you use the word darker because some artists will paint two-thirds dark and one-third light. That's just how they see things. That's part of their voice. Or the opposite, which is how I tend to interpret things, two-thirds dark, one-third light. I don't know if that's because I come from up north or what, but that's how I see things and interpret things.
And then as we move to, as I said several times now, we're recording this in January, but obviously we're going to move to February, March, and spring. And as the colors start to explode, do you interpret that in a different way?
No, because when it comes to green, and we've talked about green, it's a multitude of greens, and in any given day, you're gonna see a multitude of greens, whether you're up north or here in the South.
Uh, Let me turn to first quarter of 2025. Are you working on towards any shows? What's going on in that part of your life?
I've kind of, for 2025, the best way I have kind of looked at it is a chance to study, to reflect, to rejuvenate finally, and to get caught up on things that I let slip away while I was doing so much painting in the last year. And a lot of that, mostly so far, has been just studying my craft, wanting to move into new things because primarily I've done still lifes and landscapes and I love them and I will always love doing those particular things. But I'm sketching more, I'm playing with different mediums more. I've been taking classes, um, which was part of finishing up and going into the year as well. Yeah, to reflect and see where I need to grow and to rest. And when I say catch up, I mean I let a lot of things go just to paint through the last year to kind of speed up the process and get some momentum going.
Do you have any shows you're aiming towards other than the next KCC Magnificent Seven show in, maybe the spring or summer of, 2025?
I have the current show, and then I am looking towards the show up and hunt.
Mhm.
That will be in June. And then because I'm doing more studying, I am primarily focused on that, but I also have a goal of trying to get a couple of paintings a month done to put towards M7. So I have slowed down, but I'm trying to keep the momentum going at the same time.
For the Magnificent Seven 2025, are you going to sort of reach out and explore some new areas or new directions for you, or what might we see from Dawn in September?
I thought I knew, but um, I can't really honestly say I do know because the goal was to do 2 paintings a month from the time we closed the last show, specifically for that. But because I've been, looking at other things, I don't know, I could be surprised. We could all be surprised with what I come up with for the show. And I'm vacillating back and forth. Do I want to do all pastel, all oil? It's just gonna depend on, guess, the how the inspiration hits.
How the inspiration hits. Dawn, if any of our listeners wanted to see any of your work, is there an online site they can go to?
Yes, there is. It's dawnweyerfineart.com.
Dawn, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to visit with me. I want to check in with you in 2 or 3 months to see where you have gone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.